Soft locking in Diablo. How to do it and how to get out of it. So the way you soft lock yourself is during an attack, such as this one, you will switch your character's sprite animation. So your character will not look like this. Your character will look like this, or this, or this. Something that physically changes your character's animation. So switching from a sword to a sword will not yield any results. But switching from a sword, from a sharp to a blunt, light armor to medium armor, from a sword to an axe, axe to staff, staff to bow, anything like that. You get the idea. This applies to all three classes. So the way it works is during an attack, you switch to one of those. Like so. And you will end up with this. This is essentially soft locked. Now, if you don't know what to do, you are soft locked. The thing about this is, you cannot left click, you cannot right click. If you try to use a scroll, it does nothing. You can't pick anything up, you're stuck. Essentially what is happening here is your character is permanently stuck in the attack animation. So if you save it and then reload, it looks like this. That's essentially what your character is doing. Your character is stuck attacking. So how do you get out of this? Well, one thing you can still do is you can still right-click gold and move that around. That's about it. Warrior has the most availability for getting out of this, which for most items is just, for most gear, is to just shift and left click. And just like that, he'll get out of it. I'm not going to go through the whole set, but this applies to sword, sword and shield, blunt and shield, just a shield, or punching your way out. It does not apply to staff, axe, or bow. I'll go through them real quick. So, club, just like that, you're out. Staff, you hear the sound, but left clicking does nothing. Shift and left click does nothing. You're stuck like this. Staff does not work. Axe also does not work. And the bow also does not work.
I don't have a spell ready.
Just a shield does. Just a sword also works. And just a club also works. Punching your way out works as well. That one I'll have to redo. Now, there are two other ways to get out of this. And that is to block an attack or to get stunned. So basically the normal things that would happen if you were in an attack animation, like this. Monster hits you, you get stunned, you go into hit recovery. Monster attacks you, you block the attack, you get broken out of it. Those are the two ways. Those two ways apply to every single class. So if you ever get stuck like this on a warrior, sword, so sharp, blunt, sharp and shield, blunt and shield, or unarmed. If you don't have any of those on you at the time that you're using, let's say you're using an axe, just use some gold, switch over to something, ta-da. Rogue is a little bit different. So I don't have all the gear for Rogue, but just know that the only thing that works on her is the bow. You must have some kind of melee weapon and the bow. If you were to use just a melee weapon, nothing happens. Shift left click does nothing. You cannot get out of it. So the only way to do it for her hold on a second. So she can't get out of it. The way to do it for her is you have to use a piece of gold. So shift clicking right now doesn't do anything. You must put a melee weapon on. It can be a sword, can be an axe, a blunt, shield, whatever. Does not matter. Then shift click, which does nothing, but it is doing something. And then put the bow back on. And just like that, she'll get out of it. This is the only way that I know of for Rogue. So if you happen to be playing, and let's say you go to attack a barrel, and as you're attacking it, you switch over for some reason. This is how you can get out of it. There are other ways where if there's a barrel next to you, if you left-click the barrel, she'll attack that, but you have to have a bow on to do that. A bow is mandatory. It is the only way to get out of it. You must have the bow equipped. Now, as I said earlier, you can also block an attack or get stunned. Of course, blocking an attack requires you to have a shield. But again, having a piece of gold to get out of this is very, very important. So I'll demonstrate one more time real quick. Just left click a couple times, however many you feel, doesn't really matter. And she breaks out of it. Sorcerer, unfortunately, is the only one that I do not have any solution to. The only ways, as mentioned earlier, to break out of it with him is to get stunned or block an attack. Again, obviously you need to have a shield on to block. No other weapon works, nothing else works. So, for example, there was just nothing. If I put on the dagger, still nothing. Even just clicking this does nothing. Put on the axe, the bow, the staff. Notice you're not even hearing the attacking sound. Just the shield. Oh, you hear that. Does not follow the same rule as Rogue did, though, with the whole switching to a melee weapon and then switching back. I have no idea how to wake out of it with him. Even unarmed doesn't seem to do anything. There just is no way. So the only way to get out of it is to block an attack or get stunned. Now there is one more I'm going to show you. This one is much, much harder to do, but it's something that you may possibly end up doing. Just be careful with this. If you do get stuck in there, the only way to get out of this one is to get stunned. This applies to all classes, which is quite literally to do that. To change your character's sprite animation while casting. If you do this, you are just simply stuck. The only way to get out of this one is to get stunned. you will not block any attacks because you're stuck in the block in the casting animation. Essentially, even though you don't see it. I'm not gonna save to show you that. For Monk, almost forgot about this. If you play Hellfire, for Monk, the only one that I have found so far is using just the shield. I don't know about Unarmed, as I didn't have all the equipment to try it with. So that is the only one I have found so far that works with Monk. So if you should happen to do that, be careful.